Yo, who's on a ride for war? Straight arm on a track like C4. See your drop like 3-4. God gave me life, so I shine for all. So head bang till you're all.
Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy ThaLiveKing coming at you with a quick NBA talk video. And I'm looking at the news today, and I'm seeing Raptors are the front runner to land Kawhi Leonard. And as someone that's been living in the city of Toronto pretty much my whole life, they gotta pull this trade. They gotta put it on the table and get Kawhi Leonard to Toronto. The reason why I say this is because they shot themselves in the foot last season, because they gave Kyle Lowry that 3 years, $100 million. And I'm like, why would they give him that contract? Because there's no other team in the NBA that was going to give him that money. But they gave him the money because it gave MLSE, who is the owner of the Raptors, to jack up the prices of the tickets. So you have to pay these two superstars, quote unquote superstars, and you got to jack up the prices from, on a regular night, it used to be like 120 lower bowl for regular games against regular teams or whatever, and now you're paying close to like 250, I think, right? Because the seats that I used to pay for to watch the Pacers, I used to pay 120 after tax, and we paid 13% tax up here, so I used to pay pretty good money to sit lower bowl in the end zone. And now it's almost like, you're paying an arm and a leg just to watch the Raptors, because now they got two superstars on the team that they feel that they can mark up the prices. But anyways, the reason why I say they need to go after Kawhi Leonard is because, first of all, the reason why they shot themselves in the foot is because, number one, the Spurs don't want Kyle Lowry, because last year Kyle Lowry went to the Spurs and they wanted a contract from the Spurs. He wanted a contract from the Spurs, and the Spurs told him no. So now we come to this offseason where you can't use Kyle Lowry as a bargaining chip to get Kawhi, because the Spurs don't want him. They already told you they don't want him. So you have to offer DeMar DeRozan, which I hate, because everyone who knows me, they know I love DeMar DeRozan. Like, if DeMar DeRozan wasn't on the Raptors this year, there's no way they'd finish top in the East. No way. Right? So now, to me, you got to take your best player. You have two players that don't show up in the playoffs, and you got to get rid of one of them. So Kawhi Leonard, in this sense, you have to trade DeMar DeRozan, because Kyle Lowry has 2 more years. I have to double check to see if he has a player option on his contract, and he's not going to turn it down. So Raptors might be able to move that contract, right? They might be able to send him to New York or something. I don't know. But they're going to have to get rid of that contract at some point. So in order to clear space, they have to trade DeRozan. I'm hearing they're offering OG, which is stupid. But the Spurs, they want an all-star. So they want to trade an all-star for an all-star. So DeMar DeRozan is the key piece to get him to Toronto. The Raptors were going to blow up the team like 3 years ago anyway, because there was a playoff series against the Pacers, which still pisses me off to this day, because the Pacers should have won that series. And if the Pacers would have won that series, Masai Ujiri, who's the GM of the Raptors, he was going to blow up the team and trade everybody, right? He was ready to trade Kyle Lowry, I think the year before that, to New York for Raymond Felton when he was on the Knicks. So Masai Ujiri wasn't scared to blow up the team, but then those guys started to play off the charts after they traded Rudy Gay. So now this summer, the Raptors are tight with money. DeMar DeRozan's making an insane amount of money. They gotta rebuild slow, because I think at the end of the day, Fred VanVleet is going to be the starting point guard for the Raptors, because he knows how to run a team. Like, a lot of people on Twitter were talking mad trash about him because he missed that shot. But if you were watching the Raptors during the season, this guy was hitting clutch buckets. Like, when Lowry and DeRozan, those guys are two hotheads, right? So one time Lowry got kicked out of a game. I can't even remember who it was, but he got kicked out of a game. And so Dwayne Casey was forced to put Van Vliet in the game. But Van Vliet's been closing games all season long anyway. Him or DeLon Wright. Like, DeLon Wright would be playing well too. So, but at the end of the games, they would have DeRozan, they would have Lowry, and they would have Van Vliet in the game. And Van Vliet would be running that team. Like, this guy has ice in his veins. Like, I didn't even know who he was when he came out of college because I don't really watch a lot of college games. But he was the type of guy that was hitting clutch buckets for the Raptors. So I'm like, this guy, he's got onions, man. Like, he's not scared of the moment. And he keeps a level head. Like, last year, he kind of, his poker face kind of went down because he was injured or whatever. But, man, he knows how to run a team. So I'm hoping that within the next 2 years, because I think he signed a 2-year contract, a 2-year, $18 million contract. So he signed that contract. So within 2 years, that comes off the books. Lowry comes off the books. So I think if he lives up to the expectations of what people expect of him, the Raptors are going to offer him a great contract. They're probably going to offer him like 4 years or something, right? So as of right now, you have to get rid of DeMar DeRozan. Like, you have to trade him. As much as it hurts me to say that, like, we have to trade him. We have to get Kawhi because you know what to expect with the Raptors in the playoffs. Like, they're a regular season team with these guys. And with Kyle Lowry, you have to play his way, and he's not going to want to adjust. See, when they had Rudy Gay on the team, that should have been a crazy tandem. People hate Rudy Gay, but who cares? Like, those two guys on the wings, he's clutch. Like, he knows how to hit big shots and all that. But the problem was, Dwayne Casey, he doesn't know how to, manage 3 stars on the team. So he just kept running ISO for each player down the court. And the offense was just trash that whole year. And that's why they traded him. So now that you traded him, you traded Rudy Gay. And now you have the Raptors and DeRozan and Lowry. They were just going off because they had the freedom to do whatever they want. So now in the structure of the playoff format, that's why you see those guys struggling, because they think it's street ball out there. Last year was the first time those guys played, under control. They weren't jacking up shots. They weren't taking a whole bunch of bad shots. They were actually running the offense. And people are like, oh, the Raptors changed their offense. It's so much better. No, yeah, because the 2 stars weren't taking stupid shots, right? And Dwayne Casey was allowing that. And that's why Raptor fans don't want Dwayne Casey, because he just kept running ISO ball. I'm going to watch Detroit this year. Watch Detroit this year, because those guys have 2 borderline stars on their team, right? So they got Drummond, who's pretty much, I don't know if he's an all-star caliber player, but he has the ability to make the all-star team. I'm pretty sure he made the all-star team. And then you got Blake Griffin, who's a proven star in the league. He's coming off an injury, but now he actually has a whole training camp with the team. So, and they got Glenn Robinson, who Dwayne Casey probably going to use him like how they used how the Pacers used Paul George, because Dwayne Casey is the guy who always looks at the Pacers squad and sees what they do with their players, and then he tries to emulate all that. So, but that's a different story. So, you get rid of DeRozan, you bring Kawhi Leonard in for 1 year. He's not going to sign with the Raptors, but that's fine, because you get that money off the books, and then you have free money to try to bring more players to Toronto, right? Like, Masai Ujiri is not scared of rebuilding the Raptors. Let's get that straight. Like, people think, oh, the Raptors are going to rebuild, nobody's going to come to the games. No, Raptors don't have any problems selling out games. There's so much corporate money behind the team. There's so much fans that want to come to the games. The Raptors will not struggle. People think that the Raptors have bandwagon fans, but people have been going to those games ever since they were trash back in the day, right? Like, that arena was selling out, and the tickets were actually a decent price. Once the price drops, people will still go to the Raptor games. It doesn't matter. So you trade DeMar DeRozan, you bring Kawhi in, see what you have with the young talent around Kawhi, and then go from there, right? Raptors are going to make the playoffs regardless next year, because to me, even though they lose DeRozan and they get Kawhi, I still even if Kawhi gets injured or whatever, like, they can still make the playoffs in the East, because they already have that chemistry even with the new coach and all that. So I'm not really worried about that. But Raptors need to rebuild. They need to do something because the squad that they have, like their regular season team, but in the playoffs, they just struggle. And Nick Nurse, the new coach of the Raptors, he actually pretty much molded that bench in the D-League. So he already has the advantage with them. So he's going to get those guys to play how they're supposed to play anyway. So I have no worries about, the young guys on the team, even if they trade DeRozan. And even if they trade DeRozan can always come back to Toronto. He could probably take a lesser deal, which he probably won't. But, it gives DeRozan a chance to actually compete because the Spurs, they're probably going to finish third in the West anyway. Like, it doesn't matter who's on the Spurs. They're still going to be a top 5 team, at least in the West. So, I think that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, man, they need to trade DeRozan, man. Raptors need to do something. They put themselves in this bind and kept Kyle Lowry. That's what they got to do, man. Just rebuild the team. The fans ain't going nowhere. The NBA they probably won't talk about them a lot, but who cares? Like, who cares about any of that, right? So, you trade DeRozan, got free space, money flexibility to bring stars in or bring quality free agents because Toronto's a good city. Toronto will attract players. The only thing that might kill them is the tax, but whatever. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. What do you guys think about Kawhi coming to Toronto? You guys think it's a possibility? Of course you do, because they're the front runners right now. He's not going to the Blazers. I'm out of here. Peace.
I got a confession. I possess the God particle, lock me up for possession. The relationship with God should be great for proper protection. If I am to show and prove, ain't no need to ask me no question. The segregation real, you should probably stay in your section.